Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back to Mo's Unapologetic Reads. Welcome if you are new. My name is Molencia. This channel, if you can't guess, is dedicated to book-related content where I share my thoughts, my likes and dislikes on mostly works of fiction. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for your support. I have a great series to share with you all today. If you've been following along, in one of my recent videos, I posted books that I would like to finish, series I should say, that I would like to finish or catch up on before the end of 2023. I knew at the time of that video that goal was ambitious given the number of books in each of the series that I want to read, and most of them I have to reread the first couple because it's been a while since I've read them. There's only 2 more weeks left of December and I am not sure if I'm gonna reach that goal. I actually got really distracted this week and started rereading a series that was not even on my list. It's The Instruments. Oh, hold on. I gotta look it up. It's called Her Instruments by M.C.A. Hogarth. Great series. I love it. If you're into sci-fi space, this is a pretty good series. So anyway, totally got distracted. If you know, you know, right? Book lovers, you'll have like, oh, I'm gonna read this, you know, and then you'll start reading it, and then you'll get distracted by another series, and then you'll start looking up books to add to your list, and it just becomes like, you know, a rabbit hole thing, and you start spiraling, and it just ish happens, okay? Ish happens. Anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna reach that goal. I don't know if I'm gonna reach that goal. I really do hope I reach that goal, but the way it's looking, I don't know. We'll see. Back on track. I am sharing with y'all today the series review I have for Rachel Gillig's The Shepard King series. I read the first book as part of my delayed scares video. Love the first book, and I've had the second book on my list to finish, the duology, and that's what I did. The Shepard King series is a dark fantasy, and it takes place in a kingdom called Blunder. Now, Blunder has been plagued by a mist. It's been cut off from the surrounding lands for 4,500 years, and this mist was the result of bargaining and invoking the anger of the spirit of the wood of this land. If you get lost in this mist, you're likely to be driven mad. Lost in it forever is pretty much a death sentence. Now, who would bargain with the spirit of the wood and why? Well, I'll tell you. So there was once a Shepard King, and this Shepard King wanted his citizens to experience the abundance of magic. And in this series, the citizens, the people of Blunder, would often go into the woods to ask the spirit of the wood for her blessings, but the magic had a cost to it. It would degenerate their body physically. They could experience mental degeneration, and the severity of the degeneration varied from person to person. The Shepard King wanted his people to experience this magic without the harm that it did to their person. Now, we all know you have to be careful what you ask for, right? Especially when you're doing spell work or magic work. The shepherd struck several bargains with the spirit of the wood, 12 to be exact, and each bargain resulted in the creation of a providence card. Now, I haven't looked at it yet, but I kind of want to see if anyone has done illustrations of what they think the providence cards look like. And if so, I'll try to find some and put the links in the description. I don't know why I didn't do that before starting this recording, but I really want to see if anyone has drawn these cards. And if so, I'll put some references in the description box. And these cards contain different magic abilities or different magic skills. And the cards are to allow their users access to magic without it harming them. But we all know there's some type of, well, maybe not everybody, but there's always usually a cost to doing magic. And in the Shepard King series, the costs are pretty high. Okay, and if you're not ready to pay them, you need to get on out. There are 72 cards in total, but 12 cards will make up a deck. Slowly but surely, the cost of bargaining with the spirit changed the Shepard King. And there are others around him that don't agree with what he's doing. They don't like some of the consequences that aren't just affecting him but affecting others. Eventually, this Shepard King is overthrown, killed, and replaced. And what is known about the Shepard King is passed down through the book that he wrote before he was overthrown, the Shepherd's Book. In this book, the shepherd tells his people about the cards, their use, their consequences, about how to protect themselves when traveling through and around the mist, and how to get rid of the mist and the infection that people are plagued with when they obtain magic that isn't through a providence card. In this series, it's declared illegal by the king that overthrows the Shepard King if you contract the fever that eventually allows you access to magic. It's illegal. And the only illegal way to use magic is to have access to a providence card. Those found infected with magic are taken away from their families. Those that are found harboring people with magic are ripped away from their families by the king's physicians. The physicians are like the... I had a hard time describing them in my last video. The physicians are like the scientists, the medical type group in this series. And the muscle, the king's muscle that helps the physicians do this are called the destriers. They're like his guard. They do his dirty work. They do whatever needs to be done to protect the people of Blunder from those infected with magic. Since the time of the first Rowan king, the king that overthrew the Shepard King, the goal has been to unite all 12 cards of the Providence deck. By uniting the deck per the Shepherd's book, the mist will be banished, and people infected with magic and that are suffering from the degeneration are able to be healed. But they haven't been able to do that in 400, 500 years because the very last card of the deck, the Twin Alders card, has been missing. And it's been missing since the time of the Shepard King. Now again, there's 72 cards in total, but there's only so many of each kind. And the Twin Alders card is the only one of its kind. So you can imagine how hard it's been for them to try to find this card so they can get rid of the mist and save Blunder. The king that overthrows the Shepard King rules with an iron fist and has been so cruel to the people that can't control them contracting the fever that gets them magic. And he and his line have implemented such terrible laws against people who are infected with magic. So you can imagine that not everybody agrees with what he's doing, even though his goal is to protect Blunder and try to unite the deck to get rid of the mist and heal his people. The way he's going about it is terrible. The only people who really seem to have access to these cards are families of means, right? The cards are used in bargaining and political moves and as marital gifts between houses. Unfortunately, the Shepard King's actions caused such a ripple effect throughout the kingdom, and his actions affected his people for the next 500 years. Talk about paying for the sins of your father. Okay, who is stomping? This is why you record when no one's awake. In book 1, which is One Dark Window, we meet Elspeth Spindle. And as a young child, Elspeth contracts the fever, and this frightens her family. Her father, who was the head of the Destriers at the time, does not want to turn his child. So he sends her away to live with her aunt's family. They nurse her back to health, and they don't see any of the outward signs that she has magic. And they think that they all good, that they're in the clear, that they just need to make sure no one finds out that she's had this fever. Well, what they don't know is she does have magic. Her magic is that she can absorb the energy, the power of the Providence cards. And she finds this out one night herself as a child when she holds one of the cards, the Nightmare card, and she absorbs a monster. The entity that comes from the Nightmare card is somewhere between a man and a beast. He resides in her mind. So over the years, Elspeth grows up in the care of her aunt's family, and she's not very close with her father as a result. She feels like the black sheep of the family, and she's not very accepted among his stepwife and her half siblings. But she definitely has the love and support of her aunt, and her cousin, her eldest cousin, Ione. Again, her family, no one knows that Nightmare prowls her mind, that she has another spirit of some sort residing within her. And Nightmare comes and goes as he pleases in her mind, and often speaks to her in riddles. He never divulges too much as to who he is, what he is, and how he ended up in one of the Providence cards. Elspeth lives her days trying to keep this secret from her family, from fellow people of Blunder, and this makes her feel incredibly lonely. So if I had to imagine, I would think that this story takes place in like the 15, maybe 16 or 1700s. People get around on horses and in carriages or by walking. The women wear gowns and the men wear clothing, based on their station in life, but all of them usually have a symbol on their clothing that represents the house that they're from. If you decide to read the series, which I hope you do, you'll notice, and they tell you, that the families of Blunder take on the surnames of trees. For example, Elspeth is from the Spindle house. Her aunt's family is the Hawthorns. And there's other families with the last name of Thistle and Yew. And of course, the King's family, the King's line, is named Rowan. And this was started back by the earliest families of Blunder to show reverence and respect to the spirit of the wood. I enjoy a book that has me stop and look up stuff so I can better understand what I'm reading. I know some people don't like that, but I don't mind that. So I would stop to look up what these trees look like, and I'll add some of the trees next to me. Eventually, in book 1, Elspeth will meet a group of people who are trying to unite all 12 cards of the deck. And they want to change the way the kingdom has been operated under the Rowan family. And they want to save people from being killed because of possessing magic that they had no control over getting. And this group is comprised of people that she would have never thought would be doing this. These people are some of the closest you can get to the king. They are Raven Yew, the oldest nephew to the current Rowan king, his parents, his younger sister, the youngest son of the Rowan king, Elm, and 2 of their friends. When Elspeth meets this group, she's pretty much backed into a corner. They know that she has some form of magic, and she tells them that she's able to see the Providence cards. And it's not necessarily her who can see them. It's actually Nightmare that can. They don't really trust her, but they need her in order to find all 12 cards, especially the hardest one to find, which is the Twin Alders card, the only one of its kind. And this group is very hesitant to trust her, especially Elm, Raven's cousin, but they decide to have her join them in this effort. As the story goes, you really feel the tension, you feel the stress that these people are under, because they have to navigate very carefully. What they're doing behind the king's back is treason, and it could get them killed. I enjoyed the first book immensely. The POV is from Elspeth and Raven. We learn more about the Providence cards, and there's a building of the relationships, and we read about Elspeth and Raven becoming closer and their efforts to protect one another and growing in their trust of one another. The series has a really great pace. It kept me engaged, kept me locked in. There were plenty of times where I was yelling because they're all trying to execute different plans to gather the cards, and you know, there's times where they almost get caught or something happens, and the author just really has a way with words and keeps you feeling that tension and that stress of what's going on in the book. You can't help but root for this group of people and what they're trying to do for their kingdom and for those that they love. This book and the series overall gets progressively darker, and I don't think I really gave enough credit to this being a dark fantasy, but it totally is. It gets progressively more violent as more masks are shed and more truths are uncovered. Book 1 ends with something terrible happening to Elspeth and the group trying to figure out how to save her and recover all 12 cards of the deck. Book 2 is called Two Twisted Crowns. This book features new POVs, and they are from Elm, Raven's cousin, the youngest son of the king, and Elspeth's eldest cousin, Ione. This was an unexpected surprise. These additional perspectives, along with Raven's and eventually Elspeth's, and the author did a really good job of writing these multiple POVs. And some of you know that multiple POVs can sometimes get really messy. Sometimes you can lose the rhythm of the plot, but again, she did a really good job in giving Elm and Ione their spotlight in book 2. We get to learn more of Elm's and Ione's backgrounds and motivations, and how their actions are going to play into finding the Providence card and saving Elspeth. And the author creates another couple in book 2 with Elm and Ione, and there is a slow burn romance between these two, and I just love that she was able to weave that in there with all of the ish that these characters are going through. We continue to follow Raven as he tries to save Elspeth from what happens to her in book 1. They all, Raven, his parents, Elm, they all learn about the presence of Nightmare, and we get to see the vital role that Nightmare will play in recovering the very last card of the Providence deck. There's more Providence cards used in book 2. which include the chalice, which is a card that forces the people it's used on to tell the truth. The mirror, which makes you invisible. The prophet, which allows you to see bits of the future. And again, there's consequences for using these cards. If I didn't know any better, I want me a deck as well, because these cards are, you know, described as super pretty and magical, but I think they're probably more trouble than they're worth. And I think every single character in this book will eventually come to understand that as well. Overall, this was a great series. 5 out of 5. Like, I have no complaints. No, I wish this could have been that way or changed that way. Like, I have nothing bad or anything I would want to change. The characters are multifaceted and they're pushed to their absolute limits. They go through so much to try to get these cards, to try to save Blunder. Each one of them is dealing with their own their own trauma, and all they want is to save the people they love, finally get some peace, and just have some hope in their futures. So y'all know, and I'm sure most of us are like this, right? We're readers. We have to imagine the setting and the characters and things that take place and all that jazz, right? And as I was reading this, I was trying to figure out if this was a show, because y'all know I love to watch TV, or if this was a movie, who would I want to play some of the characters, right? It was really hard for me to figure out who I would want to play Raven and Elm. Raven is described as having copper skin, dark coloring, and more of a... Elm is described as tall, different coloring than Raven. He is a redhead, fairer skin, and I couldn't think of anybody to play him either. So if any of you have read this series, or if you're planning to read it and you read it, who do you think should play Raven and Elm if this were to be a movie or a show? I did think of some actresses that could play some of the other characters. So for Ione, Elspeth's cousin, like Sydney Sweeney or Amanda Seyfried playing Ione. And for Elspeth, maybe someone like Maya Mitchell. And I could see maybe Cole Hauser playing Elm's father, the current Rowan King, or maybe even the first Rowan King that overthrew the Shepard King. I love me some Charlize Theron, and she can play so many different types of roles, so I could see her playing the Spirit of the Wood. Another one down. Another one. Okay, another one down. And I enjoyed myself. I felt the stress and the tension, you know, like mentally. Like, I ain't physically feel it, right? I ain't physically feel it, but I mentally imagined the stress and the trauma and like all of what they were going through. And that, for me, you know, the author, she did that. She did it. She did it. Okay? Like, props to Rachel Gillig. Thank you so much, the new viewer, the returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. Let me know in the comments what y'all thought about this series, if you've read it. Let me know what is on your list to wrap up 2023 with. If you like the video, please make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button so you can join Mo's Unapologetic Readers, and that notification bell so you know when I come back with another video. Hopefully soon. Until next time, y'all, be blessed. Happy holidays. It's Christmas time, right? Whatever you celebrate, happy holiday to you. And I will see you next time.